Zaway day! Hello from the beginning of week 2. Does everything take forever? Yes, everything takes forever to do with technology. But here we are. I wanted to give you a quick little intro to what week 2 is going to entail. We're going to start with a little movie talk. So it's me voice overing a video online, and I gave you a little bit of helpful vocabulary there, but otherwise it's just watch a thing, go into Flipgrid, write or speak a 3 sentence summary of what you saw, and if you feel more comfortable writing out said summary as you watch the video and then reading it to me, that is just fine. Also, make sure to review the first 10 lines of our next story, Cana Salwii, before we meet in class. There will be questions about it, but for us to just be able to talk about it and for you to be a little familiar with it, it'd be great if you could look at that beforehand. And then I listened to your feedback on what you liked about last week. Of course, I listened to it after I had planned part of this week, which was the downfall of that. So I'm actually going to be giving you two new-ish things, although many of you had said like, "Oh, thank you for giving us, stuff we're basically familiar with doing in class, like questions and vocab review and that kind of thing." But there's going to be two slightly newer things to have you do. One of them is a English derivative word building worksheet, which I've tried to make as clear as possible. So let's go look at what that looks like. Uh, Here we go. Can I stretch this out while I'm talking? Hey, look at that, I can move it. So in this, we've got a chart that I want you to kind of pick apart the words that I have given you and then be able to describe the meanings of the individual parts of the words. So these are all words from stage 28, or English words derived from stage 28. So for example, the word absolution comes from the prefix ab, the root solu, and the suffix shun. The meaning of the prefix means away from, that's ob. The meaning of the root solu comes from solvere, to loosen or untie. And the meaning of the suffix is that it is an act or a process and it forms a noun. So you'll do that for all of the words that I have given you. And some of them will have a prefix, some of them will not. It depends on the word. So your root is going to be the word that it is derived from, and then you can kind of pick apart what comes either before or after that. You will want to use the handy dandy prefix suffix sheet that I think that I gave to everybody. It's a double-sided piece of paper, list of common English prefixes on one side, list of common English suffixes on the other, and I will also have a PDF version of this online, but I'm thinking it would just make your life so much easier if you don't have to jump between windows, if you can just like look at a piece of paper, type it in. But I will put an electronic version online as well. So you'll fill this out, but then you're not done yet. I want you to write your version of a definition of those derivatives. So you only have to pick 3. So of all of these words up here, opulent and, woo, what had happened? Opulent and desperate and corporeal, you have to pick 3. Write them down here. Guess their part of speech based on your suffix. You'll probably be right. And give a definition based on the different parts of the word. So if you had chosen absolution, it's an act or process of loosening or tying something away from something else. You're not probably going to be perfect, but you might actually get pretty close to the meaning depending on what word that you choose. And then actually look up the word. So repeat the same words right here. Actual part of speech actually found in a dictionary. Actual definition, yes, you can just like get the Google definition and paste it right in there, but just kind of see how close were you, how far off were you. And then make up your own word using any of the prefixes and suffixes on your sheet. So for example, I gave you, just to see like a whole one of these filled out, well, with 3 anyway, examples from stage 1 and examples of what that might look like with words and their actual definitions and parts of speech. And then if you were to make up your own word using a current word from your vocabulary, I chose one, laborat, from stage 1, and put together suffix, prefix, a root, and a suffix, and made a new fake word, I would want you to write that down there and give me its meaning. And then on Flipgrid, you're going to go in there and you're going to tell us that your word is such and such. And if you need to spell it out or just make sure we hear it really well, do that. So I would go on there and I'd record myself and I'd say, that way I'm a guest strut, and my made up word for this week with our vocab is extra elaborated, which I am not going to tell you the definition, but you respond to me and tell me what you think that means based on your knowledge of the prefixes, suffixes, and root words. Basically, I want to do this because I feel like for most of the year we've been building our Latin vocabulary, and sort of ancillary to that, we've been working with derivatives, but we haven't really had a proper summative on these, and I'd like to do that somehow, sometime before the end of the year, and I'd like to build our skills with English, specifically all these prefixes and suffixes that show up in all kinds of words. So hopefully you don't hate this, but you have the right to tell me that you hate this in our reflection on the week, and I will consider that as we move forward. So that's a new activity that we're going to be doing. And then if we look back at our e-learning planner, try to come to class. We'll talk about Canis Salvii in a little more detail, but we'll also do some fun other activities, a little more like a class. And then you'll be off to answer the questions about Canis Salvii in Google Classroom. And then the other new thing I want to have you do is there's 2 videos on Google, on a platform called Edpuzzle that I would like you to look at and answer questions to. So this is what Edpuzzle kind of sort of looks like. You've got a video in a box over here, and then as you watch the video, occasionally it will pause and a question or a note will pop up. And so in this case, we've been listening about different aspects of Latin verbs, and you would then have to tell me every Latin verb has either case, number, gender, or time and aspect, and then you can go down and go to the next question. Or if you're like, oh crap, I was spacing out, I didn't see that, go back. You can rewatch parts of the video in order to make sure that you can, oh, I can't talk anymore, that you can answer the questions accurately. So there's going to be 2 videos, one to review the imperfect subjunctive and one to review, don't mind me, I'm not re-recording this, so you're just going to hear the fact that I am listening to a scanner. So you are going to answer the questions in those 2 videos as hopefully good review on the imperfect and pluperfect subjunctive. And even if you feel like super solid on those, there's some cool, super nerdy grammar things that they talk about that linguistically you might find kind of neat. So that is the main thing that is new. Looking back at our weekly planner, still, I want to make sure you're reviewing vocabulary in Quizlet. I feel like some people are going into Quizlet and they are not necessarily being logged in, or they are not necessarily actually clicking on the activities. So if you like just doop-de-doop go through the words here, that might not be showing up that you actually did a thing. So make sure to actually like click and go into, hey, look, I'm looking at the flashcards and I'm thinking about them and I'm going through them. Just really make sure to choose an activity and go all the way through it so that I know that you did that. And then, and if you didn't get credit for it this week and you kind of double time it the coming week, or you do four activities, I'll give you credit for last week. And then back in, make sure to be silent reading. And even though you don't have to literally turn the log sheet in, if you're writing on a paper log, I can't see that. And I am giving you formative credit for this. So if you didn't write in the actual silent reading log online last week, make sure to go in there and write in it for this week and for last week, and I'll give you credit for last week as well. Again, give me some response on how this week goes, level of work, difficulty of work, etc. We'll aim to have another class meeting on Wednesday at 9 a.m. and I'll aim to link that. I will attempt to link it so that it shows up in your Google Calendar. We'll see how successful I am at that. And if you want something more to read or watch, I'm going to also start putting some extra things in at the very, very bottom as like if you have, a lot of extra spare time, because we all have extra spare time. I feel like we don't, even though we thought we would. Nice thought. Okay, so hopefully that answers some of your questions for what to expect for this week. And I'll have office hours like usual on Tuesday, 12:30 to 1:30. I'm always available by email during normal school hours. I'm here for you to help you out. And I hope you have a good week and that we settle into this weird new routine. I'm sad we don't have real class, but we'll still make this fun. Miss you guys. Wale te.